This is the future.
The title and thumbnail say it all. In this video, I will try to show you a Nekros setup that allows him to get the triple loot feature, making him the king of farming Warframes. I will also try to tell you the strengths and weaknesses of this build. So this build has a weakness? Lame. Well, not exactly, as I have taken care of those weaknesses. Okay, let's cut the long introduction and begin with the video. This build will allow you to farm more resources in steel path levels with Nekros, as well as gain more steel essence in the process. For this build, we will be taking advantage of Nekros' Desecrate ability, and pairing it with the Petrify Subsume ability of Atlas. For the build, we will be using 3 augments, which is kind of stupid, I know, and I just hope that we get an extra slot for augments in the future. But I'm not complaining though, since for each mod I have sacrificed, I have found a way to make this build works like a charm. So Despoil is obviously to make each Desecrate consume life instead of energy. Since we don't have Bloom in our build, I introduce to you a new way to keep your life at bay while Desecrate with Despoil is active, and that is Molt Reconstruct. We will be casting both Shield of Shadows and Petrify often with this Nekros build combo, and every time we cast these abilities, it will regenerate a large portion of our health, since we also have Blind Rage that gives out negative energy efficiency. Long story short, each cast of either Petrify or Shield of Shadows restore almost full of our health. However, health restoration is not enough, and that is where the Shield of Shadows augment is useful. It allows us to gain 90% damage redirection, and to make this ability efficient in terms of survivability, we must equip Primed Continuity. Duration allows slow decay of Shield of Shadows, which is crucial in energy conservation, so we can save up some for casting both Petrify and Shield of Shadows when we need it. There's another problem though, casting a Shield of the Shadow is kind of slow, and sometimes, this can lead to death. To take care of this problem, I decided to use the Vazarin Focus for this synergy. Yes, I finally have a combo for the Vazarin Focus. Before casting Shield of Shadow, get out and use your operator to cast Guardian Shell. That 4-second invulnerability phase will give you enough time to cast Shield of Shadows. Good thing about this is if the invulnerability fails, you will still have a couple of seconds before enemies can break the Guardian Shell. Vazarin is also a great tool for grouping enemies with the help of Void Snare, but I don't use it often since enemies grouped by this operator ability will not be affected by Petrify. If there's one thing I advise on equipping in your operator for grouping, that is the Magus Anomaly Arcane that pulls enemies closer to you. Every time you get out and then get in, you can pull targets closer, and this solves the range issue of the Petrify ability on this build. Also, you would want to equip the Equilibrium mod. I pick this over range mods because it helps in maintaining energy and giving survivability to my Nekros. And lastly, let's talk about power strength. I would have slapped all the power strength mods in here, so I can obtain 400+%, giving my Orgaze 100% extra loot chance. However, that would not be realistic since it will cripple the survivability of Nekros. For this build, I can gain 343% power strength when growing power procs, and Molt Augmented is at max stack. This will give an 85% chance for extra loot to drop on petrified enemies. And mind you, the extra loot that stack with Nekros' Desecrate ability, and, to triple the loot gain, we use the Smeeta Kavat with her charm ability. If the resource drop chance of this Kavat procs, then Nekros will gain triple the loot to those targets that are petrified and affected by Desecrate. The problem is, there is an if the word to this statement, and triple loot can only be obtained if Smeeta Kavat's resource drop chance proc, which is one of the weaknesses of this build that I can't control. But despite that, you can still have more loot with Orgaze, and, if the charm resource drop chance procs, then it will be abundant. Before you leave, let's talk about my weapon setup. My weapon of choice is the Kuva Brahma with this galvanized chamber build, paired with critical chance, faction mod, and then viral. And of course, don't forget the primary Merciless for the damage boost. For Desecrate to perform better, I decided to enhance the desecration of bodies with the Amalgam Ripka's True Steel mod. This mod gives your Warframe extra gore chance, and, did you know that it synergizes with Nekros' Desecrate? As the bisected body parts are treated as distinct corpses and have their chance to yield additional loot, this mod will allow killing blows from your damaging status effects to bisect a large variety of enemies. heat, and toxin will bisect many of the common living humanoid enemies 100% of the time, but will only rarely bisect some newer enemies, or infested enemies like chargers. However, electricity and gas damage is otherwise inconsistent with regards to bisecting enemies. With my Warframe with hunter munition, those procs will bisect body parts, and turn them into extra loot. And the best part is, the loot of desecrating does stack with the loot you gain with both Smeeta Kavat and Orgaze. Admittedly, this combo puts you in a lot of work just to min-max the looting capability of Nekros, but, if you don't mind pushing extra buttons, then try this out and you will have fun while farming with your Nekros. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.